Formula One philosophy. Back to recap the 2026 Japanese Grand Prix. A lot to talk about today. A lot of rants, I imagine, for us to go on. So before that, I'll just ask Sean, how you doing today?
I'm okay. Week just started, so far it's not terrible. How about you, Nick?
Good. Just keep plugging away. We get a nice break now, and you did ask me if we should do some more discussions during the 5-week break. Maybe we can finally get to the Ferrari talk at some point.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
We'll see how busy your schedule is.
Yeah. No, I'm always busy, but I always make time for this podcast because it's a lot of fun. Any comments on that? It's f1philosophypod@gmail.com, F1philosophy at YouTube, and F1_philosophy at Instagram, where if you really want to rage bait Sean, that's the place to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're about to... Sorry, go on.
No, I got a little bit carried away there yesterday.
You're an engineer. This is in a lot of ways. This is like you've talked about before. This is not your baby, but it's like there's a lot of real world applications here that you just want to like. There's a lot of meat on the bone for you to chew on, so you don't want to see it just go away. So you're gonna fight. You're gonna fight for it. So I get it, and you'll also.
I'm also going to call out the stupidity of everybody who doesn't understand what they're asking for.
So for the first time ever, it sounds like I'm going to be the calm one and Sean's going to be the Nick. Let's see.
Might end up that way.
Let's see how this goes today. All right. Before we get into all that, I'll just do a quick rundown of the top 10. Kimi Antonelli winning again, 2 races in a row, with Oscar Piastri finally starting a race and finishing it, splitting the Mercedes more than you can say the Ferraris can do. And once again, Charles Leclerc, 3rd. Probably where he's going to be the rest of his career. George Russell, a surprising, or was it surprising 4th? Well, I guess we'll get into that later. Lando Norris, another top 5 for him after a unfortunate do not start in China. Lewis Hamilton, I guess he doesn't like the regulations after all, in 6th. 7th, Pierre Gasly holding off a 4-time world champion Max Verstappen for what felt like the entire race. Max Verstappen in 8th, adding to the misery, adding to REM's Everybody Hurts being played on repeat. 9th place is Liam Lawson. Good job. And 10th place Esteban Ocon. 1/17 of the way to Oliver Bierman's points totals. Good job. Sean, I'm assuming you want to go off about the incident between Colapinto and Bierman. But before that, is there anything else you want to talk about that caught your eye this weekend?
Let's see. I mean, I feel like we have to give it up to Piastri. This season so far, he has started the sprint race?
Yeah.
Where he got 3 points. So he's had some experience on track with these cars. But compared to everybody else, to get out there really for his first Grand Prix, start flawlessly, and basically put Mercedes in their place for the first little bit was a nice statement of intent, let's say. You and I talked about it last season and in the preseason. Who do we think is going to come out this year for McLaren and really grab the reg set? And it certainly hasn't been Lando thus far. But Piastri really had no hesitation. Once he had a car that would actually turn on, phenomenal. Great race from him. Screwed over really by safety car timing. I have a pretty strong feeling that he's a driver that if that safety car hadn't come out, he probably could have held the Kimi off.
Or at least he would have.
He would have had a lot of good, close battles like we saw between Charles and Lewis.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. I'm curious if that would have played out that way. 13 seconds on level ground, like because they both started the restart, I think 1-2 or 2-1. 13 seconds is a big gap. I think the Mercedes is just that good right now.
In free air.
Yeah. Well, would he have stayed close?
And he would have stayed close, and that's what I mean by we probably would have seen some good battling if that safety car hadn't happened. But Kimi running away with it out front, I think it's the Mercedes of old. In free air, the car is unstoppable, but put them in a little bit of traffic and it kind of falls flat, which I think is part of what we saw with Russell. But Russell has bigger problems we'll talk about.
Yeah, we're probably going to get to him in the second half when we do our weekly game. Yeah, I think you kind of outlined it pretty well there. I don't really have much more to add. Actually, I guess the only thing I can add is that McLaren didn't mess up his strategy in favor of Lando, and you see the result. They had the opportunity, and Oscar flat out said, don't pit me just yet. And they didn't. And it worked out for him. So, yeah. Just adds to the fuel of the fire that was 2025.
Yes.
We'll get to that later, though, actually, a little bit more. Anything else you want to talk about? Anything else that caught your eye? Or is it really just the talking point of the week?
I mean, I thought it was a good race. We did see a lot of good, close battles. Like you said, you mentioned Gasly in 7th. This is quietly becoming a reasonable season for Gasly. Currently in 8th in the driver standings. And he scored points in all 3 Grand Prix. The only thing he hasn't scored in is the sprint. So he seems to be doing pretty well. He is outpacing, both Red Bulls. So it took a few years, but Gasly seems to be getting his redemption.
We'll see if it stays that way the whole season.
Yeah.
I suspect it won't, but crazier things have happened, and this is a crazy season.
It is.
So, yeah.
Other than that, I don't really have anything major.
All right. I wrote in my notes for this episode, I said, Sean goes off. So you have the floor. I didn't say
giving
what.
me the entire episode?
Not the entire episode. I was just, I want to talk about, when you're done, my thoughts on where this series is going, but I wanted to give you the floor first because I think you're a little bit more passionate about this one than I am. So, yeah,
Well, I have a pretty big beef with the hypocrisy that is the F1 fan base. Are you ready for this one, Nick?
Oh, boy.
There have been some voices in the paddock that have been saying with the closing speeds when someone's deploying and the driver in front is harvesting are dangerous. Which, yeah, they are extreme speed differences. I disagree that it's any different than what we've seen previously. Yes, the drivers are harvesting more frequently than they previously were as a part of the reg set. That's clear. I'm not arguing that. But we have seen large closing speeds previously. It's a byproduct of push laps, cool laps, race laps. Every driver is running their race their own way. And we do see different strategies, and we do see some pretty massive closing speeds. There was a lot of bullshit yesterday going around about what the closing speed between the two cars were. And we're talking about now Behrman and Colapinto. There were some posts on social media and some news articles claiming that it was 98 kilometers an hour difference between them. No, it wasn't.
No.
It was like 35. The 98 was because the telemetry and the video are not properly synced. When you actually look at it, it's 35 kilometers an hour difference. It's enough to cause some damage, but that's actually not a very large closing speed. We see similar, if not more, delta in closing speed when someone is trying a real Hail Mary of a last-ditch braking maneuver into a corner. Bortoleto in Brazil last year. And we saw how that went for him, which, by the way, was in the range of about 50G.
Yeah, similar to what Behrman saw, yes.
Yeah. So we have to be a little bit aware of what's going on and a little conscious that there are narratives that are being pushed to shift people's agendas. And we can't just take what's being put out there as fact. Okay? When I saw this incident happen, I immediately cringed because I knew this is exactly what was going to come out of it. Mm-hmm. Oh, see, we told you. Large closing speed, dangerous, Behrman almost died. That's not what happened. It is what happened. There was a large closing speed, an error was made, and Behrman went really hard into a wall. Couple of things to point out, though. 50G, big accident. Big accident, nobody wants to see that. The cars are built to stand that. The cars are built to survive and to protect the driver in those types of accidents. The systems are also in place to make sure that we're monitoring those things, to make sure that the doctors get out there to help those drivers when it does happen. I created a bit of a list here, Nick. Let's see. How many times do we believe that there were 50G, if not more, accidents in F1 recently?
Recently, it's been a lot. It's Verstappen at Cops was like 64, yes. Right?
Something like that.
Yeah, and he had like a legitimate head injury, as we found out later, for the rest of the season, that they kept quiet.
Mm-hmm.
But Lewis Hamilton was the one who got screwed in 2021. Pretty sure Yuki's in Imola last year was pretty bad.
If not 50, just shy of, yes.
Okay. Zhou at Silverstone?
60-something, yeah, I believe.
There we go. I'm off the top of my head. There's one big one I'm forgetting. Probably Mick at Saudi Arabia.
Can't remember that one, but maybe.
Maybe. Grosjean?
Grosjean through the barriers, car in flames. That was over 50. Definitely, yes.
There's one big one I'm forgetting.
There were a couple in Spa.
Oh, Norris?
Kevin Magnussen. Well, Norris, yes, in the wet in Spa. Mm-hmm. Loses it before the top of Eau Rouge, 50 plus G. Kevin Magnussen, when he was at Renault, lost it at the top of Eau Rouge into the barricade at 55G. Again, limped away from there.
Yeah.
Injured knee. I don't bring these incidents up to say that this isn't an issue. I bring it up to highlight that motor racing is extremely dangerous. Nobody gets into motor racing because it's safe.
Mm-hmm.
We know that it's dangerous, and we do it anyway. And the FIA has put a lot of effort into making sure that the vehicles are as safe as they can be while doing those speeds. Nothing will ever be without risk.
Mm-hmm.
The faster you're going, the more risk you're taking. F1 is about driving on the limit, the limits of adhesion, and all the other stuff we like to say. So when you lose it at 300 kilometers an hour, it's going to hurt, and it's going to be shocking.
Mm-hmm.
But we put a lot of guardrails in place to protect these drivers. That's why the cars are as heavy as they are, because we can't just make tin cans with engines on them anymore, because that's when people die.
That's a good point.
So when these do occur, we have to make sure that we're ready for them. Now, 50G, like I said, big accident. Behrman hurt his knee. And I don't say that to diminish what happened. He legitimately hurt his knee. Contusion on his knee. Basically a big bruise. He walked away from a 55G crash with a bruise on his knee. That's an impressive feat of safety from the car. Frankly, the only reason that happened is because he's tall. His legs have nowhere to go. His knees were up against the monocoque anyway. Right? A smaller driver in a similar sized car would not have had that problem. But him and Ocon are both big guys, and they try and make the car as small as possible. So that's why he got injured. He'll be fine in 5 weeks when we race again. I have no doubt about that.
Hospital hope.
Yeah.
It just sounds like a straw that broke the camel's back, right? It doesn't sound like you're right. It sounds like they're just being a little hysterical. That there's problems.
Yeah, it's the first big crash of the season. So everybody is now saying, oh, look, confirmation bias. This is it. No. This was a racing incident between two drivers who were fighting. Mm-hmm. Now, why did that incident happen, Nick?
My first instinct was Colapinto moved over when he shouldn't have, instead of staying on his racing line. Mm-hmm. That was my first, and that's the problem I have with this too, is that although I share a lot of sympathies with the naysayers, is that this kind of absolves Franco of his guilt in this, or his what's the word I'm thinking of his role in this, and just making an hysterical claim about the regulations on the whole, right? Like you kind of sidestep the real problem here, because you're looking for any excuse you can to take these regulations down. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think Franco moving over was the problem.
It was part of the problem. I heard a couple of different things. So Julian Palmer commentating when the incident happened basically said, oh, it looks like Colapinto didn't even realize he was there, moved over to take his line, and next thing you know, Ollie's sailing past. Apparently the Sky commentary was a little different. From what I heard on some Sky coverage of it, they thought that Colapinto was using a defensive move against Behrman, similar to what you said. Colapinto knew he was coming, intentionally moved over. Fine. The FIA did not give him a penalty. And the FIA didn't give him a penalty because they admitted that he was going significantly slower than Behrman, but not unnecessarily slowly. It was as a result of the regulations that he was going slower. He was harvesting. So unfortunately, that statement kind of puts credence to what everybody is screaming about. Mm-hmm. And I think it's incorrect. I mentioned to you, I watched about 15 minutes straight of each car's onboards from 6-7 laps, whatever it was, before the incident to immediately after the incident. What I saw out of Ollie was pushing hard, because I believe it was not long after he pitted. He pitted early to get onto the hards, and he was trying to battle back because he had a shitty qualifying position. And he was pushing and pushing and pushing, trying to catch Colapinto. Colapinto was having a bitch of a time. He lost out to Lindblad, I believe, out of the pits. So he was trying to keep pace with Lawson. He was trying to undercut Lawson. Lindblad managed to undercut him out of the pits. And every lap, as I was following on board with Behrman, you could see Colapinto losing ground to Lindblad. So Colapinto was just slow. He was all over the place. And when I watched on board with Colapinto, all I saw was snap oversteer, understeer, erratic hand movement. He had no control over that car. He had no idea what he was doing. He was clobbering curbs everywhere he could. He was wide into the Degners, so right over that serrated curb every time. Unloads the car. Had no clue what the fuck he was doing in Japan. It looked like watching an amateur race. But that's not what caused the crash. eventually it's very clear that he gives up trying to catch Lindblad. Even though his engineers are pushing him, do this, try that, whatever. He's now lost a couple of seconds. I forget what the gap was. But he went from truly trying to push Lindblad to no man's land. And Ollie is right there with him. The gap was ranging between 0.2 of a second to 0.8 of a second, depending on where they were in the track. But consistently, out of the hairpin, Colapinto would manage to make an exit, probably with the power from the Mercedes engine, because once you get out of the hairpin, it should be a full throttle blast into Spoon. And watching those laps, he was launching into Spoon really hard, like really not downshifting at all, into the 50-meter marker board. So 50 meters from the apex, that's when he's really getting into the downshifts. I can't tell where his braking points were because I didn't have any of the telemetry, but clearly he was attacking Spoon very heavily. The lap that the incident happened, he comes out of the hairpin, takes off at full throttle, goes up through the gears, hits turn 12, which is 200R, which is right before Spoon. As he hits the apex of 200R, downshifts. Never did that on any of the prior laps. So the car starts harvesting because now it's overrunning, and he's not on full throttle. I don't care what anybody tells me. I watched the lap. He was not on full throttle from the exit of 200R, which is over 200 meters from the apex of Spoon. That's why he was so much slower. It was an intentional move by Colapinto. Sorry, I shouldn't say intentional. It was a driver input from Colapinto that caused him to be going so slow at that part of the track. I don't believe he knew that Behrman was that close. I think it was just lapse of concentration, misjudgment. He fucked up 200R for whatever reason because he didn't need to harvest there. The laps prior, there was no need. He had given up on Arvin Lindblad a lap and a half ago, and he was still pushing hard into Spoon. That wasn't the difference between a trying to overtake Lindblad and a normal racing lap. That lap was an outlier for Colapinto. Why the fuck was he harvesting more than 200 meters before Spoon? He never had an issue with the run down to 130R, which is immediately after Spoon, even after attacking it. Because when you go into super clipping, by downshifting rapidly on the brakes into the corner, that's where you get a lot more recharge. It made no sense for him to be harvesting that entire 200 plus meter range, because he would have harvested all the way through Spoon, which every other lap was enough to get him through the rest of the lap. So it is a byproduct of the regulation. I'll be fair in saying that, because the car was harvesting, but any other generation of car would have done the same thing. 35 kilometers an hour difference isn't that much. If you downshift at the exit of a corner when you should be accelerating, yeah, the car who is doing what he's supposed to do is going to be approaching you faster. This was not a regulation problem. This was a Colapinto problem. He does not deserve a penalty for it because it's genuine driver error. He didn't intend to do this to Ollie Behrman. Ollie made the mistake of trying to take the racing line at such a rate, a closing rate between them. It would have been a feat of reflexes for Ollie to do this, but the appropriate thing for him to do would have been to go to the outside of Colapinto, which would have compromised his line into Spoon, but he would have had the space. This was Ollie was closing quickly, knew he could make the move to the inside until Colapinto, not paying attention, took his normal racing line, not realizing that it was such a drastic offset in speed. But he doesn't need to, because he's entitled to that line. People need to shut the fuck up. This is a genuine racing incident. It had nothing to do with the harvesting itself, other than the fact that Colapinto didn't know what he was doing, which speaks more to why he shouldn't be there than anything else. But
yeah, this sounds like he was under, I don't want to say a lot of pressure, but he's just kind of out of his element. I think this was his first time at Japan, right? 2024, he came late in the season. Doohan did Japan last year. So I think your assessment of him being an amateur on a very tough course was apt.
yes,
But it sounds like he's
it is
just,
a very physical circuit.
yes, he's not ready for it. He's losing confidence. He's kind of, like you said, given up and makes a lapse of judgment, a mistake, which is bound to happen. This isn't a problem of the regulations. Yeah. The regulations, I think, do have some problems.
Sure.
And I think, I'm just curious, do you think they're going to change anything in the next 5 weeks?
You shouldn't. And I say that with confidence because they changed something this weekend and made it worse.
In the qualifying?
Which is which is exactly what I was saying previously. So they lowered, for qualifying only, they lowered the total allowable regen on the car. Instead of 9 megajoules, they lowered it to 8 megajoules. The intent being that there would be less emphasis on harvesting. So you would not need to harvest as long. Therefore, you could, in theory, be full throttle longer. The problem is you have less battery. I don't know how this got past anybody because it doesn't make sense at face value. The track has a 9 megajoule limit because it is a track that can benefit from that. You can harvest enough to gain 9 megajoules, and you can deploy enough to use 9 megajoules. The reason they change the limits is because there are circuits where you can't harvest that much. Melbourne, you can't harvest 9 megajoules around Melbourne. I think they were at 6.5 or 7, something like that. But if you're not harvesting that energy, you're running around with a partial tank. So those straights where you're running out of energy at the end of the straight with a 9 megajoule tank, you're going to run out earlier. This is the issue with making knee-jerk reactions. You change something without understanding what it is, which is surprising because these guys created the regulation. They should know that this doesn't make any fucking sense.
Well, this is what I was saying earlier. It sounds like they're at the point where they either don't want it to succeed, or they're just trying to make enough headlines to make everybody happy. And I don't know which direction we're going in right now. Right? Like, yeah.
I'll go back to what I said last time. The issue isn't the 50-50 split. It's not the charge and the discharge of the electricity. It's that they've given engineers too much power. And that's coming from me.
Yeah.
If you let engineers go wild, we will find the stupidest ways to do just about everything. Right? There's a saying that gets thrown around a lot. Engineers solve problems you didn't know you had in ways you don't understand. This is exactly what we're doing in F1.
To solve the dirty air problem. Yeah, they've made, yeah.
Well, not even.
Okay.
They went, oh, we want to be sustainable. We want to use more renewable energy, yada, yada, yada. Okay, put more battery. If you use more battery, you use less fuel. Great. Hey, wait. If we're playing around with how much battery we're putting into this system, let's make it fully variable. I don't know if you know this, Nick, but the way the powertrains are set up, each race weekend, every team is given the opportunity to change the amount of deployment on the car at every different corner. So it's not that you get, if you're full throttle, you get 100% ICE and 100% battery. You can come out of a corner at full throttle, get your full ICE power, but they might only be putting in 20% electrical power or 50% electrical power or 30% electrical power, depending on the characteristic of the circuit and what the drivers want as let's say, a profile for the power, right? We call this drivability with turbos, where you want your turbo to kind of come in a way where it's not going to suddenly snap to power so that you get a massive oversteer or lose traction. You want it to kind of ramp in gradually, build the boost and the pressure and the power through the entire power band. Right? This is what changing the size of the turbo does for you. If you've got a small one, it's going to come in faster. If you've got a big one, it's going to take a lot longer to spool up, and it's going to come on really heavy at the end as it hits its max potential. This is effectively what they're trying to do with the battery. They're saying, oh, I have full control over where I'm putting this power in. So as I'm exiting these corners, I'm going to change the profile of that delivery. They're allowed to do this by the regulation. So every weekend, they have to provide the FIA with their profiles, basically. And it has to be the same all weekend. So they set it up on Friday, or they set it up on Thursday, so that they can run on Friday with it. And then it cannot change. It's the same for both drivers all weekend. This is where they've given engineers enough rope to hang themselves. This was too far. There are ways that we can do it. Much brighter people than me can probably find a good way to make this work. But this is what I think people have a problem with without knowing what's going on in the background. If this was strictly, you've got 1,000 horsepower, 500 comes from the ICE, 500 comes from the battery, and when you put your foot down, it's going to be there. None of this profiling, none of this torque curve modulation nonsense. You've got power. And you, the driver, need to be able to control it.
That's a great idea.
That's what it should be.
That's a great idea. Because I was going to ask you, like, what do you think the solution is? And that sounds like a great idea right here. It's because, yeah, then you don't have to worry so much about harvesting in that respect, right?
You still need to worry about harvesting because you need to charge the battery. And there is a potential with that solution that you're going to be running out of battery more frequently. But you're no longer playing with the nonsense. And I say there's a potential you could run out of battery more frequently, but this is now a game of proportions, right? So maybe it's not 50-50, 100% power every time. Maybe there is a prescribed ramp where on corner exit, you start at 20 and you ramp to 100 over X amount of throttle position. This is all the cool, creative shit that engineers can do. But it has to be generic, right? It has to be written to the reg as, corner exit from 10% throttle through 100% throttle. The equation is this. All right, don't let the engineers play with it all over the place. Give them one prescribed map on every corner that best utilizes the power, and then create a weighted average map that guarantees you're not going to be running out of juice prematurely at 90% of the circuits. Right? Because they could do something that guarantees you have battery all the way to the third straight in Las Vegas, but you're not going to have what you need at other places, right? Or you're going to be too overpowered in other places and you never have to harvest. Or you'll be too underpowered in Las Vegas if you're trying to cater to Monaco, right? There are going to be some races that are outliers, but you want to be able to fit your 75% of your tracks, which then goes to fix the fucking tracks. If we don't think that this is a reg set like Las Vegas, I don't see this reg set being very good at Las Vegas.
No. Or Monza.
The previous cars were fucking garbage in Las Vegas. Sitting there on the rev limiter for 3 straights. Why?
It's just a bad track in general.
It's not great.
And yeah, in terms of safety, because we're talking about safety all weekend, nobody seemed to care about that, right? As long I've been,
right.
I said this 15 years ago. We'd get to a point where the street tracks would be dominant, would be the most dominant part of Formula One, and hopefully we can turn that around. Yeah, they can fix the tracks, but like, I don't know. I think the clipping is the first issue they gotta fix, because we gotta sympathize with some of the fans. It's not nice to watch.
Cars have been clipping since 2014. Sorry.
In like this,
they clip more now, but that's why we have to be careful. Cars have been clipping since the hybrids came in. It's part of the hybrid system. It's what makes you it's what gives you the ability to be able to recharge.
Yeah, to this level, though, I don't know. I don't think we've seen this. Right?
No, because we haven't had such large batteries. This is new, yes.
Yeah.
But the feature of clipping is not.
I understand what you're trying to say, but this intense clipping is not enjoyable to watch at times. Actually, to be honest, I haven't enjoyed all three races, and that's the point I'm trying to get at here. Because I
go back and watch the previous seasons and pay attention to the team radio. Battery's not in the right spot. Clipping. What's with this energy deployment? It's all there. I'm agreeing with you. It is a bigger part of the current reg set, but all of these complaints have been around since 2014.
So that's a good point that you're making. Where were all of you years ago? Right. Okay.
Yes.
So what's changed now? Yeah, that I'm not sure. That I'm not sure where this is all coming from now. But one feature of yeah, sorry, go on.
No, sorry. I can tell you where it's coming from. We got rid of the part that made it fun. Everybody was worried about road relevance, right? To get Audi and to get so-and-so and to get more manufacturers involved, it has to be road relevant. And I agree with that. But I'm someone who believes that the OEMs are too chicken shit to do what they need to do on road cars. The MGU-H may have been an unreliable turd, but we learned from 2014 to 2025 how reliable they could make it. Because how many times were races in the last few years DNF'd because of MGU-Hs?
I can't.
Very rarely.
Very rare. Yeah, it's been very good.
It's not a problem with reliability or road relevance. It's a problem of cost. Everything that gives us real benefit is expensive. Is really fucking expensive. The MGU-H recovered energy through heat. It was converting heat into electricity. Charging a battery, which could then discharge back through the MGU-H to spin the turbo. So you didn't need to worry about the engine spinning the turbo because you had an electric motor that was spinning it. And when it wasn't spinning it, it was collecting energy to then spin it. This is why the starts have changed. This is why power delivery on the exits have changed. This is why I keep saying these drivers need to learn how to drive a turbo car like the rest of us peasants. Nobody else has an MGU-H on anything. Rally drivers never had MGU-Hs. Some of the best rally cars out there are big fucking turbos. And they can handle it. Why can't the best drivers in the world handle it? So you can have it one of two ways. You can have the cool technology that doesn't need you to drive the car properly and complain then that the cars are too easy to drive. Or you can say, okay, we're going to get rid of that expensive technology that nobody wants to invest in. Oh, but now the cars are too fucking hard to drive? It doesn't address the clipping side of it, but that is the other portion of this equation.
I see where your mind's at too, and there's more unintended consequences for, say, someone like Max Verstappen, who thinks if we can just change a few things, it'll be better, right? There may be more unintended consequences, or also there may be, from what you've explained so well, you didn't have this problem 12 months ago when there were similar issues.
Exactly.
So okay, that's okay. That's a good way of explaining it to someone like me. And yeah, I should be considered the lowest of the totem pole of understanding at all times. I was just going to get at a point. I've been saying this for a couple weeks now, and I just think you saw it more so in Japan is that the starts are great, but these races don't evolve into anything good. I like you were saying there was different strategies. I didn't really see that. I just saw a rush to get to the hard tire or the best tire. That's what I've seen all three races. Just a rush to see which is the most optimum tire. And
Are you reading off a script?
no.
Because I didn't say there were different strategies.
Oh, I thought you were saying they were running different strategies earlier in this episode.
No.
Okay, then I misunderstood. Sorry. I don't want to throw you under the bus. I'm just saying, like, we don't see the races evolve well because it seems so much about energy management, so we're losing the middle part of the race. And I think that's something we got to fix here.
This is something I don't understand. People keep saying, oh, it's a battery management formula now. What are they managing? This is not like tire management, right? That's what I think when I hear management. The tires are fragile, so we have to manage them. We have to take it easy on them. What do you mean by management of the battery or the energy?
They can't push the car as hard as they can because they have to harvest energy as much as possible. So the racing has changed in my eyes. Like we're not like you're seeing Max stuck behind seventh for 40 laps because he can't give any more. And I have a hard to believe that he's that bad now. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But it's not because of the energy management. It's because that car is an absolute turd.
That was something else I was going to make. It also a point I was going to make too. It seems like upgrades are going to be a big problem. And if you came in overweight this year, it's going to take a major overhaul that you may run out of time with here. I'm looking at Red Bull and Williams as really tough shape right now.
They've got 5 weeks. They have 5 weeks to do what teams have been doing in 2 weeks, right? Between the test sessions, we saw Audi bring a brand new car. Audi's already on their B-Spec car. And that was a 2-week gap. Now, yes, they were developing that long before, but I guarantee you Red Bull's been working on something since Melbourne. You now have 5 weeks to do it because this is not like the summer break. This is an unintentional break. This is everybody get your head down because we have to come back to Miami competitive.
Yeah. I'm not writing off these reg sets just yet. I'm just saying there's clear issues. And to anybody who's hoping Max retires, I think he should. If you hate it that much, stop just dangling this over your head until you get what you want, or dangling over a Formula One's head until you get what you want. Just go. If you don't like it, I agree with you. If you don't like what you're seeing, we talked about it last week. If there is a sense of anti-racing here, just go. I hate to see him go, but talk the talk. Don't just use this as a power play.
You know, and this is my problem with the nonsense that I'm hearing is, okay, people are very emotional about F1.
Mm-hmm.
You've been watching F1 since you were little. A lot of people have the same story, right? Mm-hmm. Every weekend with their father, their parents, whatever, watching F1. And I get it's an emotional connection. But if it's now that it's unwatchable to you, and you say, oh, I may as well go watch WEC. Go watch WEC. Mm-hmm. It's phenomenal. I love it. There is room for multiple racing series in everybody's life. If you don't like F1, take a break.
Mm-hmm.
Go do something else.
Yes.
Come back, reassess. F1 doesn't care about you. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to shill for F1. They really don't. If you don't want to watch it, they don't care. Because there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that will, simply because it has become a Netflix series now, effectively. I watch it because I still truly enjoy it. Even with the issues that I have with it, I still enjoy it. So I will continue watching it. If you hate it so much that everything about it drives you fucking insane and you have nothing better to do but to complain
and shitpost, yeah,
go watch WEC. Yeah, go watch WEC. Go watch WRC. Go find another race series. There are plenty out there, and they are all great. Motorsport.com has an app that lets you see everything. That's how I got into Super Formula, into Super GT, into all that. Go find another racing series. Come back when you're ready to take another swag at it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I did in 2009, right? I would watch out of the corner of my eye, but I was like adamant I didn't like the new way Formula One was going, and I took a stand.
Mm-hmm.
And
here you are.
And here I am, because it's just so hard to shake sometimes. I would watch quite a few races over those years. I'd say 2009 to about 2017. 2017, I think I got back into it pretty hard. But like, yeah, you could say I missed a lot of good racing in those years. But it kept going.
Mm-hmm.
It kept going. It's kept improving. It's going to hash itself out. I agree. And it sounds like Formula One said what you just said. Like, they released a statement. We're going to analyze things in the next 5 weeks. But I think if you read between the lines, they're saying go pound sand. Not much is changing.
No, but it's what I said, right? Like, you can't make the knee-jerk reaction, because then you get what we had in qualifying, where qualifying got worse, which should have been foreseeable. But anyway, go on.
No, I think you actually just said all I wanted to say. I would just say if you are going to make some changes, you got to write off this whole season, and you got to aim for 27, right? You got to just say, this is the way we're doing things for 26. If you guys really want changes, we got to aim for 27, maybe even later than that. Quite frankly, probably, yeah. Like, it's not going to be a quick fix. So, yeah, you can try watching Indy. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
You know, but you make a good point. If, like, over the next 5 weeks, if they say, okay, this is what we want to do, let's say they decide to take my opinion. Let's rein in the engineers a little bit. Let's define an equation that throttle position equals deployment of battery, and that's going to be in 27, and they make that decision before Miami, then the teams have enough time to put in the work that's needed to develop an engine for 27. But if they want to analyze more races to make a decision and trying to figure out exactly what they want to do, if they don't do this by the time they get to halfway through the season, there's no hope in hitting 27 for it.
Yeah.
So then you are putting this year and next year at the mercy of whatever this reg set is. So they either have to make a decision quick for next year if they're going to change something big, or they have to say, fuck it. This is what we're sticking to, guys. Learn to love it or leave.
They did exactly that before. So yeah,
Exactly.
I would actually wouldn't be surprised by both avenues you just mentioned there. And it may still be good. Like, in their defense, like, yeah, maybe aim for 28 then, because the races may still be good. There may be some races, there may be some positives we're going to get out of this season. But I was a little disappointed in Suzuka. Just didn't end up being what I thought it would be. I just compared it to last year too, where you saw 3 different strategies coalesce at the end, and they're all within a second for the last 15 laps. You didn't get something like that this year. And it's just, yeah.
This is something we talked about a couple races ago as well with the Pirelli tires. Pirelli's gotten a lot of shit over the years about having fragile tires. You know, we have to baby the tires, and, you know, we can't drive. This year, they've taken away a shit ton of load, right? The straight mode, when you reduce the downforce on the car, you're taking a ton of load off the tire. So those fragile Pirelli tires, which have gotten better up until last year, last year's tires were good. Nobody was really complaining about tires.
No.
So they've improved the tire again year over year. And Pirelli would have known this because they have all the data from the teams and the simulations and everything else. But they weren't going to take a step back and make the tires less durable. So you've got a tire that's designed to run with cars that are extremely downforce heavy. But now these cars don't have downforce for a portion of the track. The Active Aero gets rid of 80% of the downforce of the car, 70% of the downforce of the car. And when you're running at high speed, that's the highest load you're going to have in a straight line, at least from downforce. It's not the highest load the tire sees, but you do reduce the load on the tire at high speeds, which means you're going to extend its life. So what was a durable tire last year is a ridiculously durable tire this year. So everybody was shitting on Pirelli. Pirelli fixed the problem, and now Pirelli's the problem because the tire is too durable.
That's a good point. Seems like they got a Frankenstein way back to the old way of racing, right? Back when you used to have one set of tire for an entire race.
Yeah, which was more difficult at that point, I would say, because you legitimately had concerns about not making it to the end if you fought a little bit, right?
Yeah. All right. Let's get into a game of the week to get some more conversation out of here, to talk about more talking points, because I'm not crazy about the races, but there is quite a bit that happened that is very interesting. That's going to make me want to watch for the next 19 races. Oscar Piastri coming alive was pretty amazing. But yeah, this week's game is Oddsmakers. So I want you to give me odds. Like, say you're going to make a bet with me, and you want to give me a set of odds that will favor you, in a sense, like, who do you think is more likely? This is not the question that I'm going to ask today, but who do you think is more likely to win a championship? Max Verstappen or Esteban Ocon? And I'd say, okay, if what are the odds you would give me for Esteban Ocon in order for me to bet on him? And you'd have to give me like 1,000 to 1. Versus where if you wanted me to take the bet for Max Verstappen, you would give me 2 to 1. That's not very enticing, right? Or even like 1.5 to 1. So you're trying to give me odds to entice me to bet on this. So that's the game of the week. So I got 5 odds that we're going to make together. All right.
So maybe for my own sanity, I'm not good at gambling odds, none of that. It's something that's completely escaped me. I understand ratios. When you're saying 10 to 1, 2 to 1, so 10 to 1 odds, Ocon wins a championship over Verstappen. That is 10 to 1, being that there's less likelihood that Ocon will win.
Yes.
The higher the number, the worse the odd is.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. The higher the ratio, the more you give me. So like if Ocon wins, you have to give me 10 times the money I bet. So
thank you. That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Yes. So if you're going to give me those odds, you better be sure he's not going to win. So you see what I'm saying? That I didn't say we're not going to do any comparisons in this game. I was saying Verstappen, you would give me 1.5 or even less than that. Like you give me like 0.5. Like you give me nothing.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But whereas with Ocon, you can be like, yeah, fuck, I'll give you 1,000 to 1. Give me, and I'll bet $10 so that you can easily win $10 because you're enticing me to bet on Ocon because I'll get $10,000 if I for a $10 bet. So think about it that way. Yeah.
Whereas Verstappen, if I give you 1 to 1, it's useless because you're just going to get your money back.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll assume every bet is $100. So if you're gonna bet like 100 to 1 odds, that's $10,000, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'm with you.
Cool. Odds today. Odds that Lewis Hamilton wins a race this season.
I don't know. That one, I think I'll go 3 to 1. I think there's probably a reasonable chance that he does, but he's still gonna have to fight for it.
Took a step back this week, right? Like, so you're betting against it instinctively, and you're saying it's not going to happen. So you'll give me 3 to 1 if I bet on Lewis winning a race.
I'll give you 3 to 1 because deep down, I think he has the potential to, but he's not at the forefront to do it. Leclerc's going to take one before him. The Mercedes are going to be there. And now McLaren's coming to play. So I think there's probably a good chance that he does, but he's gonna have to work for it. You're gonna be sweating for that money.
Or it could be a weird race, wet race out of nowhere. He gets a good lift or something. He just gets a good weekend.
A wet Silverstone, something like that.
Yeah, could happen. I will give you. I brought this up for a specific reason, so I will give you 25-1. I don't think it happens this year. I think he's already.
I'll take that.
Yeah, so that's 2,500 to take that bet. Yeah, I don't think it happens this year, and I brought this up because there's been a lot of talk about him versus Verstappen. Verstappen saying he hates the regulations. Lewis saying he kind of likes his regulations, and a lot of shitting on Verstappen. Maybe he's just a baby. Maybe he's just unhappy in his position. All this Mercedes. He's going to go to Mercedes talk now because, the friggin' F1 media only thinks that good cars mean where drivers want to be, not good situations or like someone like Max who can develop his car. They don't have any understanding or fathom of that. But nobody's talking about how like he's been miserable for a long time and then suddenly he's happy because his car is better. And I just think that's kind of ridiculous. Why aren't people giving him the same amount of flack? Oh, aren't you just saying that because you're in a better position than you were last year? Right? Like,
well, they're afraid of getting kicked out of press conferences.
There's a point in what Max said when he talked about it last year. He said that smirk on your face. I think he felt like he was slighted. And we're talking about Max kicking out the reporter out of the press conference for anybody who's wondering.
Yeah.
I just think he just doesn't take shit. But
well, he's a bit of a fucking child sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
He's gotten better, but this is him and Ted Croft and him and what's his nuts? Sorry, not Ted Croft. Him and Ted Kravitz and him and Crofty. David Croft. Because he's had the same issue with both of them. Right? Red Bull has boycotted Sky interviews because of those two in the past, right? It's no different.
Ted Kravitz is a piece of shit. Yeah. We're just with the name of our podcast and some of my comments, we're just asking for it right now. Okay. Yeah, I just think it's unfair that nobody's put that spotlight on Lewis. Right? Like when the cars were getting better and some of the best cars to drive, he was kind of fading off. And now that he's a little bit happier, we're just kind of like negating the past 4 years where he was miserable the entire time. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Like, I'm not buying that he's back. Joseph Naran made the comment after last episode on YouTube. He was saying, I guess you guys were right that Lewis has got some fight in him. I don't think we ever thought he was back per se. I just don't think we just think he was declining to a point where there's a point of no return, and we hate Charles Leclerc so much that we rated him higher. That's what I think happened.
I didn't see the comment on YouTube, but I'm glad to see that Joseph is back.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for staying tuned. I think what it is that Lewis got his teeth kicked in last year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to take a toll. And this year he's come out and he's been on the podium already. And the car was good from the beginning. For what this season is, and for Mercedes cheating the way that they are, and I will continue to say that they are until they prove that they are not, it's impressive to see that Ferrari can keep up. And I'm not a Ferrari fan, and I'm not, subscribing to the nonsense of Ferrari, but they came to play, right? And Fred has been very vocal. I brought up issues. You guys told me to build a fucking car. I built a fucking car. You can't complain now. And from what we can see, the Ferrari car is rules compliant. The McLaren car is rules compliant. Mercedes, maybe not so much in a couple of ways. And they came to play. So, of course, Lewis is happy.
Yeah, but they were good at this part of the season last year, and there was a big drop-off, and nothing's changed there.
I'll argue that. They were good at this part because Lewis got a podium in the sprint in China and then got disqualified and instantly slid back. And that was all she fucking wrote for Ferrari last year.
That's a good
2-3 races into the season. So this is not that. They've been up there consistently for 3 weekends now.
It's a little bit different, but what I'm saying is there's the same people doing the same thing with the same mentality. Yeah, the car's a little bit better. Yeah, they're a little bit more competitive, but I imagine a similar downward trajectory will slowly happen again. Maybe not as drastic as last year. I don't see a win in the future is what I'm getting at.
If you believe the rumor mill, Ferrari's going to come back in 5 weeks and absolutely fucking dominate.
We'll see. Why are they talking about the rotisserie ring making a appearance, or
They're talking about a B-spec engine
ooh, interesting.
that equals the nonsense that Mercedes is doing.
We will see. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Next one. Odds that George Russell is the champion this year.
I'm going to go with like a 300 to 1. It's not. It's all there is to it.
Yeah, you and I made the comment preseason that Mercedes will come back down to reality after race 7, which I guess is race 5 now in Monaco. You stand firm to that.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, this weekend, even if, say, let's say for argument's sake, and I think this is a possibility, I'm not holding my breath that they fall off. Let's say they're still pretty dominant after that. It looks like Antonelli might be better.
Antonelli is better.
Ooh.
We talked about this last year, and we joked about it with Russell being an AI model. The only time he's good is when he can copy somebody's homework.
Interesting.
He wasn't happy with the car in practice, so they made a change going into qualifying. And the change was not any better. So you'll keep hearing in recaps of the race and the news up until this point, oh, Russell had a problem. He wasn't happy with the setup. They made a change.
Mm-hmm.
Made a change before qualifying, and they were stuck with it. Okay. What did they make the change on? What input did they have to make the change? Russell's input. And he wasn't happy with it. Antonelli had no fucking problem. As far as I know, they haven't found anything broken on Russell's car. Russell cannot provide feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen this before. We talked about it in Singapore last year. He did not do anything in Singapore in free practice until he was able to review Antonelli's data. Once he reviewed what Antonelli was doing, that's when he got pole.
Wow. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Russell he may be able to drive these cars well, but he can't do anything else. And if it comes down to relying on Antonelli's data to set up his own car, Antonelli's going to win.
Yeah. Because he seems to have a handle on it. The car is that good, and seems no matter how many mistakes Antonelli makes, he finds a way back to the top. George is insistent he would have won the race if not for that safety car. I completely disagree with that.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
He would have been in third place.
Antonelli might not have won the race, which is an interesting thing, but yeah, I guess we'll never know now.
Exactly.
Yeah. This is eerily similar to McLaren last year, is it not? Some British driver who's been hyped for years that he's a future champion finally gets the car that he's always wanted. And this time in action,
be beaten by the non-British younger driver, yeah.
But it looks like this time Mercedes isn't getting in the way. And if anything, kind of wants to see Antonelli win.
Not yet.
Mm-hmm.
This is the year we'll see who Toto really loves.
Yeah. Yeah. This is why like F1 in 2026 is still very exciting to me. I'll give 5-1 odds. Not 300.
Generous.
Yeah, it is generous. But like I want you to bet on Russell, and I don't think it's going to happen. So I'll give you 5-1 odds.
See, this is me potentially not really understanding the point here, but
well, because I don't want to pay out too much because he's still in the best car. Right? He's still in the best car for a while. He could still figure something out. And like you said, there still could be a loyalty thing that Toto does for George. Here's your championship. Now get the fuck out.
Yeah, which now I'm seeing, yes, I'm definitely misunderstanding the point of this game. Because the money that I make from you placing this bet doesn't change. You're giving me $100 either way.
Yes.
Mm. Yes, I mean, at that point, maybe I'll change it to 0.3 to 1. You
So
have to pay me if he wins.
That's the only way I'll bet on it. Yeah. No, that's a valid point. Yeah, like you don't think it's going to happen, like, and so why the fuck would I ever risk any money on this? Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Third one. You ready for this? Oh wait.
Yes.
It's okay. Cut it out. I got a lot of editing to do on this one anyways. All right. Third one. Odds that Lando Norris finishes P3 in the championship this year.
In the championship?
In the Drivers' Championship, yes. So he's the best of the rest.
Give me a second, because now I have to rejig the way that my brain works on this. Lando is currently, what, P6, something like that?
5 or 6, something around there.
He is 5
Mm-hmm.
with 25 points.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you like 2 to 1 on that one.
So you think
it's
there's
not
Oh, okay, yeah.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, so you think it's a likelihood, so you don't want to risk too much money.
Fucking Christ, Nick. Now you're screwing me up here.
Sorry, this is a tough one, yeah. So like 2 to 1. So like you're giving me odds to want to bet on Lando finishing P3. Like I don't think it's going to happen. You don't think it's going to happen. Right? So if you don't think it's going to happen, you can give me big odds.
But see, this is now fucking with my brain because the last question with Russell, I don't think is likely to happen either.
Yeah. But you said it in a funny way. You said it's so unlikely that the only way I'm going to bet on this is if you give me money. But now you're trying to entice me to lose my money. So if you're giving me 2 to 1 odds, yeah.
But you see, people, this is why I don't gamble.
Yeah.
The only time I've gambled was when I was given money by the company I worked for, and we were at a WEGS, like a sports bookie, basically. The closest thing we have to a bookie in Canada.
Yeah.
And I put that money, all of it, basically on a horse race that was running. I had no fucking clue what I was doing, but I think it was like $20 they gave us. Like, go have some fun, whatever money. I won $150.
So
and no fucking clue how I did it.
So you bet a 7.5 to 1 horse or something like that.
Whatever the fuck it was. But that was like, all right, I've peaked. My gambling career is over, and I've never looked back.
Smart. If you don't think it's going to happen, you'll give me high odds because you want me to bet on it.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I'll give you like a 12 to 1 then, in that case.
That's a good bet. Yeah, that's enticing.
There is a chance he can do it. I'm not seeing a whole lot of confidence there at the moment.
And no McLaren screwing Oscar's strategy to benefit him anymore.
No, because he's the only one that can finish in the top 5. If he gets started.
Yeah. I signaled this preseason. Zach Brown kind of lifted the lid and said, okay, it's Oscar's turn with this statement, which was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Drive to Survive.
Pardon me?
In Drive to Survive.
No, I'm even talking about he had an interview at the end of the season. He says, I think Oscar Piastri can be champion in 2026. Kind of similar to the conversation he had with, I think Lando can be the champion in 2025 at the end of 2024, which is his way of saying, this is who we're going to back this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I brought this up because I want to talk about this in China, and we ran out of time, and Dad Brain fucked with me about how little everybody's talking about Lando Norris. He's a non-issue this year. There's more cameras and more, like, especially even on Sky Sports, there's more cameras on what's Max Verstappen doing. There's an assumption that
Gabriel Bortoleto gets more airtime.
Yes. There's like, what are these drivers going to do? Because they have no faith in Lando. And essentially they're admitting that last year was your turn. Now we're going to see who you really are, so get the fuck out of our face. And it's kind of sad, like, to just basically lift the lid on what last year was. We called
not a
it.
bad point.
Yeah, F1 philosophy called this every fucking step of the way last year. Everybody should re-listen to all of our episodes, our timeline of this. I'll give you something similar. I'll go even more. I'll go 20-1. Like, yeah, can he bring something together? Maybe, but Oscar's in his way now.
Yes. And I'll throw something out there. Lando is at the end of his battery allowance.
Oh.
You're allowed 3 batteries, 3 energy stores for the season. He took his 3rd one in Japan.
Jeez. So he's going to get, like, what, 10 place or more grid penalty?
I believe it's a 5 place.
Jeez.
It's been a while since I've looked. It might be 10 for the first and 5 for subsequent, but it's at least a 5 place the next time he takes a battery. And you got to think, if he's been through 3 in 3 weekends, there's a good chance he's going to need a couple more.
Yeah.
And this is something that I don't agree with on the regulation side. When you're going into a new reg set like this, where you've changed it so drastically, control electronics, energy stores, things that have drastically changed, the exhaust manifolds, you should get extra allowance on those parts. The ICE portion of it hasn't changed drastically, so I don't agree with changing that. But energy stores, control electronics, turbochargers, things like that, yes, give them extras because this is what we have. And I'm not saying this to defend Lando. I'm saying this because when it does happen, and it will happen, everybody will come out saying Lando couldn't defend his championship because he had 52,000 grid place penalties because he had to take 2,500 batteries. He got the shit end of the stick on reliability, which McLaren should then be going after Mercedes for that, because I guarantee you Kimi and Russell aren't having the same battery problems.
No.
And there are ways we can do that within the engineering world that make it look like pure coincidence.
Don't say that too loud. I don't even think they care. I don't even think they'll care to say anything about Lando this year. It's kind of like Button in 2010. Like, oh, yeah, he won last year. We can't expect him to win this year. Too many good drivers. I like what I'm saying. Like, yeah, you may have a point, but I don't even think they're going to make a narrative on Lando.
He's got 2 drivers to defend against.
They'll try and make a thing about Max, Leclerc, Hamilton, Piastri. They'll say all of them got in his way.
No, I agree. But in reality, the only people he's fighting against are Kimi and Piastri. In theory, nobody else stands in his way. George is a fucking pylon. Like I said, he can drive a car when he gets a chance, but he's not a real person. He doesn't deserve to be there.
Wow. Yep. Hopefully Formula One doesn't hear that. Okay. Odds. Williams finishes above P9 this year. Currently in P9 now.
What do we have? We've got 11 teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as much as bad as Aston Martin is, they can't get worse than 11th. And they can't occupy more than one spot. So do we really think they're worse than Cadillac and Aston Martin?
Well,
my predictions are telling me I have to say yes.
I think our predictions are out the window already. Yeah. So it's essentially, can they get ahead of Audi, Haas, and Alpine from this point forward? They are currently in P9. What are the odds you would give me that would happen? High, like, if you think it's likely, give me low odds. If you think it's unlikely, give me high odds.
I'm going to go 5-1. Because, again, there's 5 weeks now. If the team is actually doing well, these 5 weeks are exactly what they need. If the team is simply a warmed over version of what they've been for the last 10 years, then nothing's going to happen. So I'll throw out a 5-1 and we'll see what happens.
It's a really good bet. I was going to say that. So I don't want to do the same as you, so I will actually go even lower. I'll act like this is highly likely that they improve, and I'll say 4-1. I can't see them. I can't see them just disappearing after focusing so much on this year. But it would be par for the course for James Vowles if it's just a
would be.
Yeah. And if they're by like mid-season, if they're in the same position they are right now and they're just getting worse, and even like Cadillac and Austin are starting to catch up, I think they need to fire James Vowles, because this is a monumental fuck up if that happens. You put everything into this season. You had all this talk about Carlos Sainz being our driver. You talked highly about Albon. You said our engineers are some of the best. We don't need any more paid drivers because we got the funding. And then you fall so flat in a regulation cycle that you believed in from the beginning, that like you thought this was our moment.
With the best engine.
Yes, exactly. So I can't imagine that they keep staying this bad, but.
The one thing I'll say there, I don't know who actually runs Doralton, which is the company that owns Williams now. I haven't bothered to look into any of it, but I would say that James is enough of an orator that he can talk his way out of this year. But come next year, if it's not an improvement, then I'm with you. Because one thing that James Vowles can do is get in front of a group and talk.
That's a good point.
And talk and talk and talk until you have no fucking clue what's going on anymore. And that's how I think he got the job. And that's how I think he's still there. I think he has some ability to do something, proven by the last couple years. But like I said, I think he has the ability to talk his way out of this year. But if it doesn't improve next year, nobody's that stupid.
Yeah. What if that's how he got Sainz? It's like Sainz was trying to like not sign with Williams, and then Vowles just kept talking and talking and talking, and then he's like, okay, we'll just sign this to get out of the meeting, and then now he's a Williams driver.
I mean, Vowles was very clear about all these hotel meetings with Sainz. I think we know what happened in those meetings.
Oh, yeah. Cancellation.
Lots of talking.
Cancellation incoming. Now we're on that angle. Okay. All right. Dear Reddit forums. Okay, Sean, last one. Odds. Give me odds that Aston Martin finishes ahead of Audi this year. This is I brought this up because of the whole Wheatley-Newey nonsense we saw a couple weeks ago. Wheatley stepping down as team principal of Audi, and Newey stepping back as team principal of Aston Martin. And the rumor is that Wheatley's coming to Aston Martin.
I mean, I'm going to say we can just go ahead and confirm that he's going to Aston Martin. Because why the fuck would he leave? Realistically. He's getting paid a shit ton of money to go to Aston Martin.
Probably.
So I will throw it out there that Audi and Williams are effectively tied for 9th place.
Yes.
Do we think that Aston Martin is going to improve? Full stop.
It's going to be tough.
Their benchmark this weekend is that they finished a race with one car.
Jesus Christ.
I sympathize with Aston Martin, and I sympathize with Honda. I know how difficult these types of problems can be. But holy shit.
Yeah.
Cadillac has 0 points as well. But at least they're finishing races. And it's not reliability problems. The car's just fucking slow.
Yeah.
Did you hear why they ran a green car in Japan?
No way.
I texted you this. I'm not sure if you got it. We were primed to have 4 teams running red and white cars this weekend.
Yeah, I did see that.
Aston Martin was one of those, but they ran a green car because Honda was afraid that the engine wasn't ready, which it wasn't, and that running a tribute livery to Honda would then permanently taint that relationship.
Oh my God.
That the red and white car did terrible. And it's fair. From a marketing standpoint, I understand it.
Wow.
But that's the level of enthusiasm they had going into this weekend. That finishing with one car was a win, and that we can't put the national colors on this car.
Wow.
So I've given away the game a bit here, but I'm going to go like 10-1.
Yeah. It can't get worse than this, right? And if
Oh, it can.
probably. But if you're Wheatley, you must have seen something in Audi that spooked you enough to leave. Right? Yeah, you could say, okay, maybe Aston Martin is just because Austin is essentially a lateral move from Red Bull. So he's going back to England. He's with Newey. It's a lateral move. Maybe one day we'll be good again. Right? But like,
I think.
go on.
No, go ahead. Go.
No, all I was just going to say is, but if it's this bad for Austin, you just maybe can stay the rest of the year with Audi, unless you saw something that's like, oh my God, this like we're about to fall off a cliff or something. And that's what I'm wondering. Like nobody does this 2 races in after spending all of 2025, especially on that whole episode of Drive to Survive, talking about how I'm bringing this amazing culture here. I love it here. I love this mentality we have. We're growing. Just to throw it in the garbage after 2 races in 2026? Something's up.
Mm-hmm. But this is the problem that I think most people are latching onto, which doesn't make sense to me. I mentioned this to you as I was listening to P1 with Matt and Tommy. And the race, I believe, or maybe it was just the race. Making all this speculation. No, it was definitely the race, because It was a 45-minute episode of the race. Half of it dedicated to, is Binotto a egotistical authoritarian dictator, and is Wheatley leaving to go back to Newey, who is his mentor and his father figure, and he's coming back to the fold. It's fucking nonsense. How do you spend 40 minutes on that shit? I don't know if you've paid much attention to the Instagram, but I put up the picture of Binotto after the announcement, which has a very strong vibe to it. Go check the Instagram for that one.
No, I saw it the other day. But so is that Darth Vader, or is that?
That is Darth Vader.
Okay,
yes.
Because there's also a German show, and I thought that's what you did for a sec, which would be double entendre. I don't know if you ever saw that German show Dark.
Yes. Yeah, I did.
He looks like the old Jonas in the last season. Yes. Okay. Anyways, that's what I was like. Oh man, that's a double entendre there. Anyway,
there are a couple of things. That's the one I settled on, but basically it's insert generic evil villain here.
Yes.
All right. So ultimately what I think this is Red Bull became so toxic that everybody had to leave. Wheatley wanted out. Newey wanted out. Everybody who was anybody wanted out. And then Horner left. Horner got kicked to the curb, and everybody kind of went, shit. Could have held off for 6 months.
Yeah.
So Wheatley went to Audi because, hey, an OEM, a big name, they're giving me a shit ton of money to do a job that I know I can do, that I effectively was doing, and here I am. Sure, maybe this structure of Binotto and Wheatley sharing responsibility like Brown and Stella wasn't ideal. Don't know. Don't care. Don't want to speculate. Newey left to go take part ownership of Aston Martin. Saw a whole shit show, changed things around, whatever. People got shuffled, people got moved. He's a part owner of the team. He gets to do what the fuck he wants. I guarantee you, he did not want to become team principal.
I completely agree with that.
Right? So as soon as he took on that role, because he went, Mike Crack is useless.
Andy Cowell.
Andy Cowell is fucking useless. Send him off to Japan to go deal with Honda for a while. Mike Crack becomes a face with no name, basically. He's still employed with the team. I can't remember what his title is, but it's a ridiculous title. And now Newey is there. But Newey doesn't want to be fucking team principal. So he's got to find somebody. And who does he have a great relationship with because he's worked with him for 20 fucking years?
Jonathan Wheatley. That's a good point.
So he's team principal. He's got to be at the fucking races. He's got to support the team. And who else is at the races and supporting their team? Why wouldn't you go, hey, Jonathan, I got a shit ton of money here. I got a guy with, if not double, sorry, it's definitely over double what Total Wolff is worth.
Yeah.
Paying for everything else. I forget what the number is, but Total Wolff is worth something like $15 billion. Lawrence Stroll is 30-something.
Wow.
Billion with a B. He's got more money than God. Name your price.
That's a good point.
Oh, and by the way, you don't have to fucking live in Switzerland.
That's I think the selling point. That's I think was ultimately the selling point for Wheatley. It just kind of makes all that drama, that Drive to Survive, Sky Sports, all the podcasts, you name them, the race, made all this drama of last year, like with, here comes Adrian Newey taking over the team, say goodbye to the Strolls, right? It never made sense because of what you said on this podcast 2 years ago, which is like Newey just wants to be in the background. So I think
Newey wants to design cars.
Yes. So he came in and Lawrence is like, okay, if you're part owner, we got to clean up this fucking mess here. Or someone in the company, probably not Lawrence, tipped him off and said, you got to do this. And he's like, fuck me. And just to add to one last point, just to add to the hammer on the nail to what you're saying, which is perfect. Mattia Binotto is a dictator. The guy who couldn't take control of Ferrari, who was crying out for a dictator. Bullshit.
Yes.
Bullshit.
Exactly. I have no problem with Mattia Binotto.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. Whatever. Let him run Audi. The nonsense this weekend was, we're not going to replace Jonathan Wheatley. And then Mattia Binotto gets into a press conference and goes, no, we're definitely looking for someone to replace Jonathan Wheatley. He wants nothing to do with the team principal role.
Yeah.
He wants to be the Zach Brown. Sure, fine. Love it for him. This is going back to the point of this podcast, philosophy. Occam's razor. The simplest explanation is usually the most correct.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Wheatley is an Englishman whose family is in the UK, not far from Silverstone.
Mm-hmm.
He spent 20 years in Milton Keynes.
Exactly, lateral.
He spent 20 years with Adrian Newey. He took a job to get away from a toxic relationship at Red Bull with the team that would pay him enough money, but it meant he had to go to Switzerland. Now he gets to live at home, get paid even more money by an owner, like I said, who's got more money than God, to work with a technical director who is part owner of the team, who he's known for 20 years and he's known can deliver what he wants. They have to get over the nonsense with Honda, but they will do it.
All right. On that note, I gotta do a hard stop here. I completely agree with everything you said, but our time has run out, unfortunately. So, Sean, thank you. Thank you for once again talking us off the ledge. Thank you for your great explanations on clipping. Everybody listen to this podcast. It's very good. I was going to have a rant about how I'm disappointed in this racing, but at least I got some of it out, but at least you explained to me in all the ways that I am wrong. Yeah.
As I try to do.
As you try to do. Yeah. And everybody else should take a breath, as we're saying. Things will change, but just don't have drastic changes. That's what Sean is trying to say. Knee-jerk reactions.
Yes.
All right. F1_philosophy at Instagram. Sean's going to be going off all week, I imagine. F1 Philosophy at YouTube and f1philosophypod@gmail.com for any questions. Sorry, I had to cut it short, but have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night, Nick.